Hey, welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are playing through the closing chapter. So, most recently, post Valentine's Day concert, Haruki and Setsuna went back to Haruki's apartment. They had a good time. They got pretty physical. And so now we are post that night, I guess. The next morning, I should say. Good for them. Good for them. Hopefully this will help smooth things over for them and move them in a positive direction.
Setsuna. Ohayo.
Good morning, sleepyhead.
Ohayo, Setsuna.
As Setsuna woke up and looked at me with her half-opened eyes, I felt like I could see a huge question mark displayed on her face. Is she still asleep? In any case, I know that she's definitely half asleep, since she still hasn't figured out the situation yet.
春樹くんだ。
そりゃ俺だけど。
She's acting rather innocently and spoiled right now.
あのさ、Setsuna。
But it looks like she hasn't had enough of me spoiling her. She even put her tongue in. Furthermore, she sings while kissing me. Over and over, our lips and tongues touch each other.
Setsuna.
Thus, I respond to Setsuna's half-conscious assault, intertwining my tongue with hers and exchanging saliva. But right when I started, Setsuna suddenly pushed me away, widening her eyes.
Ohayo, Setsuna.
Taken aback, Setsuna screamed when she noticed the saliva on her lips. Then she touched the area around her mouth with her finger.
落ち着けってまず。
But I gathered all of the saliva with my tongue and sent it down her throat.
ここ。
俺の部屋。
I can't blame Setsuna for being confused. Until morning earlier today, she hadn't closed her eyes for 3 days and nights in a row, in addition to all the singing practice, the actual concert, and our intense excursions.
春樹くん。
And now, she was instantly dragged back into reality, most likely due to the contradictory circumstances between what she expects from her dreams and what actually happened. Because the me who exists in Setsuna's dreams must be a passive oaf. Whether it's kissing or anything beyond, I bet she'd always be the aggressive, proactive one.
さっきのこと忘れてくれる？私低気圧だから朝は。
そんなに気にすることないだろ。昨べ俺たちがしたことに比べれば。
I realized, after thinking about it for a moment, that low blood pressure isn't something you should worry about, isn't an appropriate comment to make in this situation. Because while I was shifting through my thoughts, the color on Setsuna's face was...
ゆうべのことも全部忘れてください。
やだ。
春樹くん。
At first she was bright red. Now she's turned pale. She must be really restless.
だいたいさ、今だってこうして裸で抱き合ってたのに。
裸だね。
As she removed the blanket wrapped around her and looked down, Setsuna's face turned bright red again.
私何も着てないね。
そこに畳んであるから、寒かったら着ればいい。
Because the gap between now and last night is too great, she just doesn't know what to do.
春樹くんの部屋だね。
さっきもそう言った。
泊まったんだね。
それだけじゃない。俺たち。
言わないで。
でも俺、刹那のこと。
自分でちゃんと思い出したいの。あれは本当だったんだって噛み締めたいの。
え？
With those words, I could finally tell for sure. Setsuna doesn't intend on forgetting about everything that happened yesterday, as well as everything leading up to it. How she regained her ability to sing, how she regained her fans, how she regained her courage to perform on stage, how she regained this bond.
刹那。
But while Setsuna was processing her memories, she once again did something beyond my imagination and left me baffled.
ごめんなさい。
だからなんで刹那が謝るんだよ。悪いのは俺の。
だって嬉しくて。
Oh, Setsuna. No one should apologize because they're happy. But of course, I can't possibly point out this shamelessly prudent fact right now.
歌えたことも泊まったことも一緒に寝たこともそして抱き合ったことも春樹くんに愛してもらったこともものすごく嬉しくて。
おいで、刹那。
春樹くん。
Setsuna removed the blanket that separated us in one swift motion and returned to the spot where she was just a moment ago. In other words, lying on my chest.
やだ、もうまだ寝ぼけてるよ、私。ただ思い出しただけでこんなに泣けてきちゃうなんて。
刹那。
Just like that, Setsuna cried while clinging onto my chest. She is completely different from the excited girl she was last night. The girl who's right here before me now is a persona which Setsuna herself completely destroyed last night. The illusion I had always harbored with me, the innocent girl named Ogiso Setsuna.
知られちゃったね。
何を？
本当の私、春樹くんに見られちゃったね。全部バレちゃったね。
She buries her face into my chest and sobs lightly. Then, with her face still buried, Setsuna slowly starts speaking.
認めます。あれが本物の小木曽刹那です。
本物？
ネクラで恨みがましくてエッチくてどうしようもない性格破綻者です。
それは。
Do I have any basis at all right now to tell her that she's not that sort of person at all? Setsuna is still haunted by what happened 3 years ago. Even when we confessed our love, or as we kissed, or while we were in each other's embrace. Even during such blissful moments, she would suddenly recall the past and start sulking, getting mad, crying, and asking for atonement. However, the only way she tried to alleviate those waves of negative emotions, be it to apologize and atone, or to aid and rehabilitate, was through the act of a man and a woman longing for one another, acting out of desire and pleasure. She wanted to make up for, in 3 hours, something that we should have been dealing with over the course of 3 years.
お願いです。どうか嫌いにならないで。
Dark, resentful, and perverted, but those are all connected by a single thread.
幻滅はもうしちゃったと思うけど、もしかしたら重いかもしれないけど、どうか今の私を受け止めてください。
せつな。
ごめんね。
It was all my fault. I'm the one who is supposed to shoulder this burden. That statement is logically correct. They are the correct words for me.
さ、俺、昔の俺の前で歌ってくれたせつなが世界で一番好きって言っただろ？
今の私は2番目でしかないって。
不がった見方するなって。
Yeah, that was pretty rude.
ねぐらだもん。
But if I look at it emotionally, it's completely wrong. To Setsuna, it must sound like a cliché phrase by now.
今日になって順位が入れ替わった。もしかしたらもうオチは割れてるかもしれないけど。
全然わかりません。
As she said that, Setsuna tightened her grip around me. I felt her heartbeat quicken against my chest as goosebumps appeared on her arms and her face started to turn red again.
今、俺の腕の中にいるせつなが世界で一番好きな女の子になりました。
Upon hearing those words that were correct according to my emotions, the correct words for us, Setsuna reciprocated with the tightness of her embrace, with the warmth of her body, and with a single stream of tears undoubtedly precious and pure, no matter how many times she has shown them before.
なあ、せつな。そろそろ起きようか。
今何時
？5時。ちょっと過ぎたな。
5 o'clock a.m. or p.m.?
5時？それにしては明るいね。
こんなもんだろう、2月だと。
でも
腹減ったろ？晩飯食べる？まあ簡単なものしかできないけど。
It was 5 p.m. Wow, yeah, they did sleep in. Holy cow.
晩ご飯？
I realized it in the middle of our conversation, but I held back from pointing it out until now. It seems Setsuna still isn't fully awake yet.
あっちは西。もし東だったらこれ北枕になっちまう。
I pointed to the window, towards the setting sun, as I told her that. She should probably call home.
迷惑だったよね。
何が？
思いっきり寝過ごしちゃって12時間も。
別にそんなこと。
Ultimately, I wasn't capable of dissuading the insistent Setsuna from apologizing, and she chased me out of the kitchen. Or more specifically, away from the stove. Rather than inevitably getting caught up in a lover's quarrel, I chose an appropriate tool to appease her. My guitar.
だって春樹くんずっと起きてたんでしょ？私が目覚めるまでそばにいてくれたんだよね。
ごちそうさまでした。
会話がつながってないよ。いつもそういうの注意するくせに。
Setsuna didn't oversleep for 12 hours. After all, I normally wake up at 6 o'clock, so it was actually only 11 hours.
起こしてくれればよかったのに。
そんなことしてる暇なんかなかった。セツナの寝顔を見てるっていう重大な用があったし。
Aw, cute.
指ザクッといきそうになったよ。
そこでそうはならないのがセツナだもんな。ちゃんとその辺は信頼して口説いてる。
もうだからってからかわないでよ。
In exchange for enduring her 3 greatest desires for 11 hours, I was able to enjoy Setsuna with my entire body for the next 11 hours. I guess I was simply rewarded for my efforts.
それにさ、謝るくらいなら目が覚めた時にすぐ起きてれば。
それは。
By the time I said, it's about time to get up, it was around 5 o'clock in the evening. But Setsuna just replied with interjections like, or yeah, while burying her face into my chest. She wrote something on my back with her finger, too. Even though it was just 2 simple hiragana characters, she wouldn't tell me what it was. 2 simple hiragana characters, what could that be? Suki, like? And yet, at the same time, waves of words and emotions escaped from her mouth, giving me an idea of what it was. She breathed on my chest, lightly kissed me, rubbed her thighs against mine, and sometimes she even touched certain spots with her toes. But perhaps because the sun was still up, she refused to do anything beyond that, so she'd just give up and slouch on top of me.
ほら、低血圧だって言ったよね。朝弱いんだよ、私。
今は夜の7時だけど。
To put a long story short, we flirted in bed for over 2 hours. I'm amazed that I could keep my emotions in check.
寝起きが弱いんだよ。もうそれくらい組んでよ。
そんなに弱いのか？
もう本当に辛いよ。朝ベッドの中で30分はもぞもぞしてる。
Except this time that took 4 times as long.
じゃあ今の時期なんか特に大変だろう。しかも冷え性だもんな、セツナ。
言ったっけそれ。
ああ、ゆうべ寒いって。
That's why I didn't look away for a second. Even though her body and heart were warmed up and she finally fell asleep in front of me, that coldness from before was abnormal. Her body didn't show any hint of being cold. If the warmness in her heart were to cool down once again, if she realized that I'm not next to her when she woke up. Once that thought crossed my mind, I couldn't get out of bed. No, I couldn't even fall asleep.
やっぱり迷惑かけちゃってたね。
さっきも言っただろ。俺は俺で楽しかったって。
でも
嬉しかったんだ。本当だ。こんなに幸せを感じたことは今までになかった。
春樹。
俺が温めてあげられたから。俺だけができることだから。
I mean it. I feel truly blissful and fulfilled from the bottom of my heart. Because it's finally something I can do. I can finally hold on to Setsuna when she's freezing and share my warmth with her. And now, I can continue to stay by her side until the day comes when she never feels cold again.
白い雪が街に優
in hope that someday she can fall asleep without me holding her, that she can come to believe she'll be fine even if we're separated, and that she'll be able to feel genuinely happy from the bottom of her heart. With only the meager assets I had left over in my refrigerator at her disposal, Setsuna frantically tried her best to come up with a dish. It made me feel incredibly nostalgic, owing to the fact that it had been such a long time since I last tried her cooking. I thought it was a matter of fact, that it's delicious, and that saying such a thing to her wouldn't even be considered praise. That's why I chose to focus on shamelessly sating my appetite. Which is why, when I heard her ask, "Does it taste good?" while I was eating, I nearly choked.
寒いからずっとここにいるなんて、そんなわがまま言い続けてるわけにもいかないもんね。
After that, right around the time we were finishing up, Setsuna took the chance and said this. On the 5th day since she came here, she made her decision.
セツナが本当に帰りたくなったのなら、俺には反対する理由はないけど。
I make it quite clear what my words are implying. You can stay as long as you like.
きっとお父さん怒ってるもん。お母さん心配してるもん。
And I'm sure Setsuna managed to read between the lines just fine. That's why she'd nodded, with a lonely yet happy expression before she said those words.
ゆうべはとうとう連絡も入れなかった。帰ったらものすごく叱られるだろうな。
電話なら入れたよ。俺の部屋にいるって。コンサート疲れでずっと眠ってるって。
Yeah, but 5 days later? That's kind of excessive.
ほんと、委員長は抜かりがないよね。
I'd say speaking to Setsuna's dad while she's stark naked and using my arm as a pillow is improper conduct for a committee president, though.
だから別にいつまでいてもいいんだ。
In the end, unsatisfied with exchanging messages through our glances, I say it out loud.
俺、バイトしばらく入れてないし、それに春休みだろ。だから。
それでも、これ以上はお父さんたちが許してくれないよ。
俺が叱られるから、一緒に謝りに行くから。許してもらえるまで毎日。
春樹くん。
だから人がどう思うかなんて気にしないでいい。自分のゆっくり考えて決めればいい。その間俺はそばを離れないから。
ずるいよ。
バレた？今のは単純に俺の希望。もう少し一緒にいたくてさ。
そんなこと私に委ねられたら、私二度とこの部屋を出られなくなる。春樹くんから離れられなくなっちゃうよ。
They're so close to graduation anyways. Like, honestly, even if she goes home now, they could just move in with each other in a few weeks.
それならそれで俺は一向に構わない。
Aww. Still seated at the table after dinner, we find ourselves enveloped by a sweet yet heavy silence. With both of our eyes cast downward, we think long and hard on a decision that won't hurt us, but will definitely bother us. But whenever we can't cast a fleeting glance at one another, our eyes lock together, and we smile happily at one another.
せめてさ、今夜もう一日くらいは泊まってけよ。
This heavy yet blissful silence, although frustrating, feels pleasant nonetheless.